Before we begin, take a slow breath with me. Inhale through your nose, hold it for a moment, and then exhale. When life grows confusing, when love feels like a maze, returning to your breath is an act of reclaiming your center. This episode is about reclaiming. It's about learning to read the weather of the heart, especially when someone near you is quietly trying to steer your compass where you never meant to go. Manipulation is a heavy word. It may conjure images of blatant cruelty, but most manipulation in relationships is subtler. It slips in not as a storm, but as a gentle fog, a soft veil that blurs the edges of what you know. It masquerades as care, as urgency, as destiny, as a test of your devotion. That is why it is so important to learn the indicators, the small signals that tell you, this is not love guiding me, this is pressure reshaping me. Stoicism, an ancient philosophy practiced by emperors and ordinary people alike, offers a lantern for the fog. The Stoics teach us to discern between what is in our control and what is not, to examine our impressions before we assent to them, and to live by values rather than by fear. In the next hour, I'll walk with you through 7 indicators that you may be getting manipulated in a relationship. These are not accusations, they are instruments. Consider them as you would consider readings on a dashboard. If one light flickers, you investigate. If several lights glow at once, you pause, you recenter, and you choose with greater care. I will not speak to you from a pedestal. Think of me as a fellow traveler, one who has spent years studying these patterns and others, and more humbly, discovering their shadows in my behavior. I will ask questions, tell brief stories, and share Stoic practices, simple habits that can help you stand upright when someone else's agenda leans too heavily on your spine. Ready? Take another breath. Let's step into clarity together. Indicator 1: confusion becomes a constant climate. Healthy love clarifies. It may challenge, but it does not perpetually bewilder. One of the first signs of manipulation is the persistent experience of confusion about what happened, about how you feel, about what's real. You recount a conversation, and the other person insists you're remembering it wrong. You feel hurt, and you're told you're too sensitive. You make a boundary, and suddenly you're the villain in a story you can't recognize. This is the fog I mentioned earlier. It's often called gaslighting. But let's keep it plain. You begin to doubt your own eyes. Consider Maya, who started dating someone she admired, deeply charming, attentive, articulate. The first month felt like sunlight. Then came the disagreements, as they always do. She brought up a small concern about a plan that changed last minute. He smiled gently and said, "That's not what happened." She blinked. Maybe she'd misheard. The next week, another mismatch in memory. This time, he added, "You do jump to conclusions." A month later, when she tried to recall their agreement about seeing friends separately, he sighed, "I never said that. You're projecting." Maya began to keep notes in her phone just to check herself. She wasn't angry, she was disoriented. That disorientation became the water she swam in. The Stoic response begins with the art of naming your impressions. Epictetus reminds us, the first movement of the mind is not within our control. The assent we give to it is. When you feel confusion clouding your vision, pause and say softly, "I notice an impression. I feel unsure whether my memory is accurate." Then add, "Let me check the evidence." If you've taken notes, read them. If you haven't, start now. Not to prove someone wrong, but to re-anchor your mind to reality. A simple journal entry after meaningful conversations: what you agreed, what you felt, what you decided becomes a lighthouse against the fog. Ask yourself, does this person consistently dispute plain facts? Do I shrink from bringing up concerns because I expect to be told I'm misremembering? When confusion is not occasional but constant, you may be breathing in someone else's smoke. Indicator 2: your choices quietly shrink. Another sign appears when your circle of choice, the sacred arena, where your agency lives, grows smaller over time. At first, it looks like a compromise. You cancel a plan to be considerate. You skip a hobby just for this week. You check in more often, because that's what couples do. Nothing is inherently wrong with any of those choices, but manipulation turns them into a slow siphon, where the range of your free movement narrows and narrows, until you're asking permission to be yourself. Picture your life as a room with many windows. You have windows for your friendships, for your interests, for your work, for solitude, for family, for silence. In a healthy relationship, the two of you notice the drafts and adjust, but the windows remain yours. Under manipulation, the windows begin to stick. Do you need to see them tonight? I just don't like that friend. Why are you posting that? Who are you texting? They say these things with a tone that nudges your guilt. Eventually, you close the windows yourself just to keep the peace. A Stoic lives by the dichotomy of control. What belongs to you to govern, and what does not. Your schedule, your phone, your friendships, these fall largely in your domain. If us requires you to forfeit what is properly yours, the price is too high. Skin your life. Are you making fewer independent choices than you did 6 months ago? Do you pre-edit your preferences before voicing them? Do you find yourself saying, "It's easier if I just go along"? That's not harmony, that's erosion. Compromise is mutual and situational. Erosion is one-directional and continuous. The practice here is a simple inventory. Tonight, write a small list under the title "My Choices That Are Mine." Include the things you want to keep choosing: weekly time with a friend, a class, a morning walk, a faith practice, your way of dressing, and your financial decisions up to an agreed threshold. Then, during a calm moment, say, "These are the choices I need to keep for my well-being. I'm open to adjustments, but not surrender." How your partner responds is revealing. Love seeks your flourishing. Control seeks your surrender. Indicator 3. Affection comes in surges and droughts. Manipulation often arrives dressed as intensity. It's the grand gesture, the unexpected gift, the "you are my everything" speech in week 2. Then, for reasons you can't trace, the temperature drops, messages slow, warmth recedes. Your mind starts working overtime to restore the earlier sun. You try harder, you become more flexible. You ignore small slights. Then another surge, praise, closeness, promises. Your nervous system becomes trained to chase the high and fear the low. This cycle is not love, it's conditioning. Love may be passionate, but it is also steady. It does not yank you between feast and famine to ensure your compliance. In the Stoic vocabulary, we might say that love respects your eulogos horum, your rational impulse, whereas manipulation seeks your reactivity. The person who toggles their affection like a switch is teaching you to make their weather your religion. If you recognize this pattern, try a counter habit. When the surge comes, the flurry of attention, the sudden romance, receive it with gratitude but no special concessions. Keep your appointments, maintain your routines. When the drought arrives, don't plunge into despair or complaint. Name the pattern in a calm moment. I notice that our closeness runs hot and cold. Stability matters to me. Can we talk about how to keep steady? If the response is blame, you're too needy, or you're making a big deal out of nothing, mark that. A partner who will not discuss patterns will make you live inside them forever. Ask yourself, am I often anxious about whether I've done enough to keep the warmth? Do I feel I must perform to earn consistency? In healthy love, closeness may ebb and flow, but it is not used as a lever to move your choices. Indicator for guilt becomes a tool others use for your labor. Guilt has a necessary role in life. It draws us back when we stray from our values. But when guilt shows up for someone else's convenience more than for your conscience, it has been weaponized. Manipulation thrives on manufactured debts. After all I've done for you, if you loved me, you'd do this, so I guess I don't matter. These statements try to make you the custodian of another person's feelings. Your energy becomes their currency. You pay and never seem to clear the balance. A brief story. Aaron's partner often reminded him of the hard season they'd endured together. When his job fell apart, "I was there for you," she would say when he hesitated to lend her money or to take on yet another task. She had indeed supported him, and he was grateful. But the support became a standing invoice pulled out whenever she wanted leverage. He began to notice a pattern. Gratitude was good so long as it kept him compliant. He started to say, slowly, "Thank you for being with me then. I mean it." And each new ask still needs to be decided on the merits of now. That sentence changed his life. The Stoics would counsel you to repay what you truly owe: honor, respect, kindness, any real debt, but not to live enslaved to invented obligations. Practice the phrase, I won't be made to choose through guilt. Speak it as a quiet reminder to yourself. In conversation, you can say, I love you, and I want to choose from clarity, not from pressure. If this choice is good for both of us, I'll make it. If it's good only because I feel guilty, I'll pass. Not every partner will like this. The ones who love you will learn to appeal to your judgment, not to your shame. Ask yourself, do I say yes to avoid punishment more than to express care? Do I feel perpetually indebted in ways that never seem to balance out? If so, someone is keeping your virtue on a leash. Indicator 5. The goalposts move whenever you approach them. Have you noticed that the standards always shift? You do what was asked, but now the bar is higher. You apologize the way they wanted, but new conditions appear. You show transparency, but now you're expected to give even more. This tactic keeps you striving, never arriving. It erodes your confidence because no matter how earnestly you try, you are defined by the distance you have left to go. In a healthy relationship, expectations can be negotiated and clarified. When you're running late, text me is specific. Show me you care more is a fog machine. Manipulation delights in vagueness because it can always reinterpret your efforts as insufficient. The Stoic response is clarity. Define terms, agree on measures, and when necessary, accept that some demands are designed to prove you lacking. Try this simple intervention. When a request lands, ask for concreteness. When you say be more present, what would you notice me doing differently? Can we agree to a trial for 2 weeks and then talk again? If the standard changes midstream, name that change gently. It sounds like the request has shifted since we last talked. I'm open to revisiting, but moving targets make trust difficult. Watch the reaction. Manipulators accuse you of being technical or cold when you seek clarity. Lovers honor clarity because it's how love keeps its promises. Ask yourself, do I frequently feel that I almost did enough, but somehow missed? Do our agreements stay agreements, or do they morph into new tests? If you're perpetually earning a dawn that never arrives, you're not in a partnership, you're in a proving ground. Indicator 6. Your story is used against you. We all want to be known. In intimacy, we share our fears, our failures, our old wounds. In a manipulative dynamic, those sacred disclosures become assets. Deployed against you, your fear of abandonment becomes the threat. Maybe we should take a break. Your history of overworking becomes, you care about your job more than me. Precisely when you set a boundary around a deadline, your faith becomes a guilt ladder. Your generosity becomes a tax. The place where you thought you'd find shelter becomes the place where you feel most vulnerable. A Stoic does not armor their heart by hiding forever. We armor it by choosing carefully whom we invite into the inner room. If you notice your story resurfacing at strategic moments to tilt decisions, pause. Say to yourself, my past is not a tool to be used on me. Then, in a calm hour, say out loud, I've noticed that when we disagree, my history gets brought in as leverage. I need our present choices to be evaluated on present reasons. If my past is used to pressure me, I will not continue this conversation. Consider practicing what I call the 2 keys. The first key opens the door to share your story when someone has demonstrated safety through time and consistency. The second key closes the door whenever your story is used as a hook to pull you where you do not want to go. You can reopen the door when safety returns. It's not a punishment, it's stewardship. Ask yourself, do I hesitate to be open because my openness becomes a liability later? Do my confessions return as accusations? If yes, reserve your second key. You owe your past tenderness, not publication. Indicator 7. You begin to betray yourself. Perhaps the most telling indicator is not what they do, but what you become in response. You start editing your joy to keep them comfortable. You laugh less freely. You stop asking certain questions. You override your body's signals: tension in the shoulders, a knot in the stomach, a tightness in the throat. You walk on eggshells and call it maturity. You start to craft sentences that are technically true but strategically incomplete. You accept apologies that fix nothing. You promise yourself you won't cry, you won't ask, you won't need, and then you do all because needing has become dangerous. The Stoics cherished integrity, the inner alignment where what you believe, what you say, and what you do line up. Manipulation requires misalignment. It teaches you to abandon yourself in small increments. The way back is not dramatic, it's a quiet reunion with your conscience. Begin here. For the next 7 days, give yourself 10 minutes each night to answer 3 questions. What did I feel today that I did not say? What did I say today that I do not believe? What did I do today that, if repeated, would remake me into someone I do not want to be? Write in plain, simple lines. Don't justify. Just notice, at the end of the week, read your entries aloud to yourself. If you hear the sound of self-betrayal, let that sound awaken your courage. You might think, but if I stop betraying myself, I might lose them. That is possible. But the Stoic measure of a life is not how many people stay near, it's whether the person who lives inside your chest can meet your eyes without flinching. Better a clean solitude than a crowded self-abandonment. Recognizing indicators is only the first step. The next is action, not dramatic, not fueled by anger, but steady and chosen. Stoicism is practical. It gives us handholds on the rock. Start with the dichotomy of control. Draw a simple line down the middle of a page. On the left, write what is yours, your attention, your speech, your choices, your boundaries, your time. On the right, write what is not, their feelings, their interpretations, their choices, their past. When you feel the tug to manage the right column, breathe and return to the left. The line on paper becomes a line in your heart. Practice pausing before assent. When a message arrives that stirs you, an accusation, a plea, a sudden romantic flood, say to yourself, this is an impression, not yet a fact. Wait for at least 1 full breath cycle before replying. If the content is weighty, wait an hour or a day. Impulses have half-lives. Clarity rises when urgency leaves the room. Use boundary sentences that are short and kind. I'm not available for that. That doesn't work for me. I won't continue this if you raise your voice. I need to think and will reply tomorrow. Many people pad their boundaries with apologies or essays. Manipulators feed on the padding. Keep it plain. Let your yes and no be whole words. Engage in the view from above. Close your eyes and imagine yourself from 10 feet, then from your apartment building's roof, then from the clouds, then from the edge of your city, then from the curve of the earth. See to small people, just 2 among billions, exchanging messages, asking for more than they can rightly claim. Feel your nervous system settle as the cosmos reminds you, you do not need to distort yourself to keep your place in the world. You already belong. Try premeditatio, malorum, the premeditation of future challenges. Before a difficult talk, imagine the likely manipulative moves, guilt, changing standards, bringing up your past, sudden affection, threats of leaving. Rehearse your responses with a calm voice. I won't decide from guilt. Let's stick with our original agreement. My past is not relevant here. We can talk tomorrow. Surprises become less effective when you've already met their cousins in your mind. And yes, seek support. A philosophy like Stoicism is not a replacement for safety. If you feel endangered, reach out to someone you trust, a counselor, a hotline, or a friend who sees clearly. Stoicism is not the stiff upper lip. It is the wise heart, willing to ask for help, the courage to speak. Let's walk through how to bring up your concerns without being pulled into the old dance. Choose a time when both of you are calm. Keep your voice steady. Speak from observation, not accusation. Try something like this. I care about us. Lately, I've felt confused after our disagreements, as if my memory is always wrong and I'm left doubting myself. I've noticed my choice is shrinking, and I'm often saying yes to avoid guilt. I need clarity, steady affection, and respect for my choices. If we can build that together, I'm in. If not, I need to step back. Listen to the response, not for the right phrases, but for the posture. Do they get curious? Do they ask questions? Do they own any part of the pattern? Or do they counter-accuse, deflect, and press for immediate forgiveness without change? Your task is not to win a debate. Your task is to see plainly and choose accordingly. If you decide to reduce contact or to leave, grief may come. Let it. The Stoics never taught us to pretend not to feel. They taught us to guide our feelings with reason. You can mourn the dream while protecting the real. You can love someone's goodness while rejecting their control. You can forgive their humanity without giving them your sovereignty. A short meditation for reclaiming yourself. Find a seat where you can breathe freely. Close your eyes if that helps. Bring your attention to where your body meets the chair or the floor. Feel your weight. You are here. You are safe enough to breathe. On an inhale, say silently, "This breath is mine." On an exhale, "This choice is mine." Inhale again. "This mind is mine." Exhale, "This life is mine." Let images arise of where you've betrayed yourself, the party you skipped, the boundary you swallowed, the text you sent that did not speak the whole truth. Do not judge yourself. Place each image in your hands as if returning a borrowed book to its shelf. Whisper, "I take myself back." Now imagine standing in a room with many windows. Each window is a domain of your life. Walk to the window of friendship, lift it open. Feel the air. Walk to the window of your work, lift it open. The window of your body, sleep, food, movement, open it. The window of your faith or doubt, open it. The window of joy, music, art, laughter, open that one wide. Stand in the center. There you are, surrounded by choices that breathe. This is what you are protecting. Take 3 more slow breaths. When you're ready, open your eyes. When manipulation creeps into our lives, it can make us feel foolish. How did I not see? You might ask, but hearts are not stupid. They are hopeful. Hopefulness is not a flaw. It is a virtue that needs wisdom as its companion. You are not foolish because you trusted. Perhaps you were simply lonely, or tired, or dazzled, or eager to repair what broke in your childhood, or moved by someone's beauty. Those are human things. The work now is to add wisdom to your hope, not to erase your hope. Marcus Aurelius wrote often about returning to yourself, about making your mind a citadel. A citadel is not a prison. It is a refuge from which you can move into the world with bravery. The indicators we explored today: constant confusion, shrinking choices, surging and vanishing affection, weaponized guilt, moving goalposts, your story used against you, and the painful tilt toward betraying yourself are not judgments against you. They are lights on the path. They illuminate. They invite you back to the citadel and then back out again, stronger and kinder. Maybe you are listening now with a knot in your stomach, because these indicators are not theoretical. They are present tense. If that is you, let me say this as clearly as I can. You deserve a life in which your yes and your no are respected. You deserve a love that does not make your mind a battlefield. You deserve to keep your windows open. And if someone must close them to keep you, let them go. Maybe you are listening and recognizing that. In smaller ways, you have used these tactics too. You have dangled affection or invoked guilt or moved the standards or mined someone's story to win a point. If that is you, do not drown in shame. Simply stop. Apologize without adornment. Learn differently. Lovers who learn to lay down control can become people whose presence is safe. That is a gift to give. The world is not guaranteed to be kind. People carry their wounds into love, and some wounds learn to manipulate as a way to survive. We cannot control who others become. We can control the quality of our attention, the steadiness of our values, and the integrity of our choices. That is enough to change a life. As we close, return to your breath. Inhale, "This breath is mine." Exhale, "This choice is mine." Picture the 7 indicators like 7 lamps on a table. You don't need to stare at them forever. You simply need to know where they are. If one glows occasionally, adjust. If many glow at once, act. Keep your notes. Keep your windows open. Keep your word to yourself. One more thing. Sometimes people stay in manipulative relationships because leaving would break a promise they made to themselves. "I'm the one who doesn't quit," or "I can fix anything I commit to." Stoicism does not ask you to quit or to fix. It asks you to be faithful to reality, to reason, to virtue. Fidelity to what is true might mean staying and rebuilding with someone willing to learn. It might mean stepping back or ending things with grace. Either way, it means not abandoning your post as the guardian of your soul. If you need help, ask for it. If you're exhausted, rest. If you're ready, speak. I'm proud of you for listening this far, because listening is already a declaration. You are choosing clarity over confusion, agency over pressure, steady love over dramatic swings, truth over guilt, agreements over shifting tests, safety over leverage, and self-respect over self-betrayal. Carry these words with you today, not as armor that makes you hard, but as a compass that keeps you honest. When the fog returns, and it will light the lamps again, remember who you are and stand upright, even if the world around you tilts.